He who works with his hands is a laborer. He who works with his hands and his head is a craftsman. He who works with his hands, his head, and his heart is an artist. Hello everyone, my name is Sandhya Shevre and I am an artist by education and profession. But above all, I am an artist by heart. A very warm welcome to my channel. So, as you all know that I am doing videos on elements of art, and in today's video we will learn about texture. Texture is a basic element of art, and anything that has a surface has texture. Texture is a way a surface looks and feels. Like in this coconut, the surface is very rough, very hairy. So, and in this glass, the surface is very smooth and shiny. So, this is rough and smooth surface. Now, this cotton ball is fluffy when the texture is smooth and bouncy, and then this stone, it's very round and it's very smooth, but not all the stones are smooth. This stone is very smooth, and so these are all texture which we feel by touching. We see them and we can feel them, we can touch them, so that is called tactile, which we can touch and feel. Then there are so these are three-dimensional, and like this dragon here, the texture of its skin is very scaly, very rough, uneven, so that is all tactile. So this is how we experience texture, through touch. And then there is other way in art where we can't touch the object, we just show it through with different lines, different brush strokes and colors. We show that texture, and which cannot be touched. We can't feel it by touching, we just see it and feel that it is going to be. Is it smooth? Like this rose is painted with the light color, soft colors, and the shades are very smooth. So texture is very smooth. In this in these three roses, where the impression of the 3D effect is being given through a particular technique, so we will talk about it later. And so this can be seen also, but it's not very prominent. So this is how we feel a texture through implied ways, or through illusion we can see. Let us know how we can draw texture. So at its most basic, texture is defined as a tactile quality of an object's surface. It appeals to our senses to touch, which can evoke feelings of pleasure, discomfort, or familiarity. So for instance, a smooth surface is always pleasing to eyes. Whenever we see flowers, we feel happy, we feel good about it. And when we see some pricky thing, or which is uneven, which is not smooth, bumpy, so we don't like that. So our eyes always feel pleased when we see smooth surfaces. So take rocks for example. So a real rock might feel rough or smooth, and it definitely feels hard when touched on or picked up. So as an artist, depicting a rock would create an illusion of these qualities. through the use of other elements of art such as color, line and shape. So we can only show that texture through our lines and shape and colors. So like here I am using just a pencil to show that texture of a rock, which is not smooth, which is looking heavy, which is uneven. There are sharp edges, cuts, and there may be some rough surface which we can show through different thick and thin lines, which can be horizontal, crisscross, or vertical or slanting. So, or maybe the shading. So this is how we create illusion through our pencil strokes, or maybe by other medium, by brush strokes with colors, or any other art medium. Textures are described by a whole host of adjectives. Rough and smooth are two of the most common, but they can be further defined. You might also hear words like coarse, bumpy, rugged, fluffy, lumpy, or pebbly when referring to a rough surface. So these are all the adjectives which we use when we talk about rough surfaces. So, and how we can show it through our art, through our pencil lines, or shapes, how we can show it. This is what we have to learn. So we need to observe all the surfaces very closely, so we can show that through our art, that surface. Texture in art gives the impression of a three-dimensional object, figure or space. It can create depth and enhance certain qualities like contrast, movement, rhythm, or emphasize. The texture in painting or sculpture allows us to feel the artwork, which can feel smooth, rough, or have a glossy or matte finish. So we create illusion of that texture through paints, pencils, and crayons, or colored pencils, or charcoals. So there are different mediums, different material, different papers or canvas, or so many other materials and mediums are there. We use these to create that visual texture, which cannot be touched, but when we see it, we feel like that is it smooth, or rough, or hard, or soft. So through our vision only, through our eyes only, we can feel that what texture it could be. So this is a coarse surface which I am drawing here, with small circles or small curved lines. So this is how we can show the texture of a coarse surface, and we need to practice it, and wherever you want to show that a coarse surface, you can use this technique. Now this is the surface which is bumpy, where up and down the surface is not smooth. There are ups and downs, so we call it a bumpy surface. You might have seen it when we go for some ride. So that is, when the road is uneven, we call it a bumpy ride. This is how we can show the bumpy surface with this texture. So now this surface is a bit rugged. You might have seen rugs which have loop type of surface, which is not smooth, which is uneven again, but the loops are smaller. They are not big ones. So this is called a rugged surface. Now this surface we call it fluffy. It has roundness. It doesn't have sharp edge. Roundness is there, and the texture is very soft. Not too many lines, only few curves, and some smooth shadow we can give. So that is called like a cotton candy, or maybe clouds. We when we see these things, they are fluffy, means, and soft in touch. Then we have slimy or sticky surface, which when we touch it, it it stretches, and that we call it sticky surface. So with lines you can show this surface. So what is the technique to draw these surfaces, these textures? So in painting and drawing, an artist often implies texture through the use of brush strokes, lines. If you are using pencil, so then pencil lines, or drawing or shadows, and crisscross, cross hatching. So these all are the techniques which we use when we need to show the texture in our art. So texture is something that artists can play with through the manipulation of their medium and materials. For instance, here I have taken a block, a cube. So a simple lines will show only the shape of a cube, but when we'll put some texture on it, then only we will see that what object it is. Like here I have given the lines, which shows that it's a wooden block, it's a wooden piece. So to learn that what object we have to draw, we must know what texture we need to put on that. So when we create these type of patterns on our drawings, then only we can create that illusion of that object. Otherwise it will be just a shape. So don't forget that texture and another element of art, pattern, are like siblings. They both perform similar function in art. They add value, weight, and emphasis to a subject. So there are many ways to create texture on different surfaces. All of rough surfaces are created by placing many light and dark marks close together, and by using a variety of light, dark, narrow, broad, hard, soft marks, any texture is drawable. Like in this, another cube, where I have just given some shading I have done with pencil, and I'm making some round marks on that with some shades. So that is looking like a cheese cube. So the shades which I have given is they are smooth, the lines are close together, they are not uneven. The pressure of the pencil is similar everywhere, only where you have to give the darker shades there it is bit dark, so not that uneven shading is there. So because the cheese is the surface of cheese is soft and it's more smooth other than those holes, bubble marks. So we need to create that kind of texture if you want to create an illusion of that cheese. So this is there are so many ways where we can create texture and create an illusion of the object. So drawing texture is all about mark making and edge quality, hardness or softness of a contour. If you make same types of marks with your drawing tools, you will get same texture. So each unique texture requires a unique mark, whether by pencil, charcoal, paints and brush, colored pencils, or whatever medium you are using. Compare the texture and you will notice how different texture define different surfaces. So here you can see that there are different type of textures I have drawn in these cubes, in different cubes. So with, because different types of lines I have used, dark and light and curved or dots or hatching. So these all are different techniques which we use to define that texture. So this is how we can draw texture in our art and make it more good. We can give it more depth. And that's all for today's episode. I hope you liked and enjoyed learning with me, and we'll meet again in my next episode uh, about texture. We will make some texture with paint and brush, and so we'll meet again. Thank you. Bye bye.